The poor are always the hardest hit during floods. Abahlali, basemjondolo says when natural disasters become entwined with political disasters, the poor pay the price. The shack dwellers movement says the focus is often on the support for business rather than on the poor and the working class. Let's discuss this further with spokesperson for the group, Thapelo Mohapi. Thapelo, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. I want to first start with your assessment of the situation on the ground when it comes to informal settlements in KwaZulu-Natal. What are you witnessing?
Thank you very much, and good evening to the viewers. The state at the moment in which the informal settlements are in is very terrible. Today we were in Ward 23 in Anet Drive, where a young girl, 8 years old, was still not being discovered. 2 people have lost their lives. In fact, we discovered another body that was still underground that is not known. And that is the day-to-day living of the people who are living in informal settlement. We are faced with floods, we are faced with fire, we are the biggest, we are the hardest hit. If you go to Cape Town right now, people are destitute and outside. So that is a day, this year, an 8-year-old, we were looking forward. She was going to be a doctor, she was going to be an assistant in this country, but unfortunately, she lost her life at a very young age. She has not been found as yet as we speak.
Is there enough assistance for people affected by the flooding at informal settlements? And talk to me about the number of people left homeless in this particular area of concern for you.
Look, there hasn't been anything from the government side. But we have seen people on the ground, individuals, for instance, dropping things at our offices. Our appeal, of course, we managed to get something that we are going to prepare tomorrow so that we distribute to the people. But nothing from the states. But we are very happy that civil society, individuals, some of the private sector people are actually coming on board and assisting the people on the ground. The Gift of the Givers, for instance, has played a major role in ensuring that those who are most destitute are assisted. We are happy with such South African. They actually represent the ideals of the likes of Nelson Mandela. We are in a province in disaster. We need help. For us who are on the ground, it's very difficult. Our hearts are heavy. It's a terrible stage.
Also, we've seen some government assistance in certain areas when it comes to informal settlements. But talk to me about the political issues that you mention in your statement. And the main thing here for me is you obviously believe that government has failed to address the human settlements and housing issue in this country. And that's why when these natural disasters hit, the poorest of the poor are affected.
Yes. Sean, I think one of the things that has happened is that people have built, mostly in KZN, the most who are affected are building along the river banks because people are desperate for land. And there's no political will from the ruling party to provide land for the poorest of the poor. Hence, we are left to die in the way that we are dying. We are left to be languished by fire. We are washed away by floods because we have nowhere else. There's plenty of land in this country that people can use, build proper structures. But unfortunately, the government of the day doesn't see this. We have made these calls that those who are living along the river banks, they are the most at risk when these floods are taking place. We have foreseen this. We engage with government, but government would not, provide suitable land for the people. And now here we are in this again. But we are hoping that because at this time we don't want to be pointing fingers. Real lives have been lost. People are destitute. People are struggling. People are in community halls. At our time of closing our office today, only our membership with only 17 branches, we had about 570 people that are destitute that have been washed away by floods alone. We have not completed the data. Tomorrow we're going to, of course, be distributing after procurements because people are urgently in need for food, blankets, clothing. Schools start tomorrow. People have lost their stationery. Pupils have lost their stationery. Many people are destitute and desperately in need. As of course, in one of our communities in eNCA, in what 30, the ward councillor has come to actually the assistance of the people today. They were providing blankets and some form of clothing for those who have lost everything.
Talk to me about the importance of people moving from the rivers, right? Because government is today saying, and we've had several ministers, the Public Works Minister says she's going to identify land for people to be moved to. The Cooperative Governance Minister is urging people not to rebuild close to rivers and areas that are unsafe for occupation. Are people in informal settlements willing to actually move to the safer areas so that we don't see something like this happen again when there are more rains and flooding?
Yes, thank you very much for that question. I think the people have always been willing to move away from these dangerous places. What has been the hinder is government not seeing people as human beings. You know, when you live in a shack, sometimes you are taken as somebody who cannot think, and then a consultant is hired to think on your behalf. We believe that when people engage meaningfully on the ground about their relocation, remember when people move from the rural areas into the cities, they are there to seek better opportunities. So if you relocate somebody 20 kilometers away without having engaged with that particular person, they are bound to come back to these places because they are, for them, and economic opportunities, they are closer to work, places of work, they are closer to amenities, whereas if you remove them away, they wouldn't be having access to those opportunities. So there's a need for us to collectively engage with the poorest of the poor on the ground, meaningfully, and not undermine them, so that when this happens, it does not become a top-down type of approach where people are told rather than being engaged with. So the undermining of the people in the informal settlements, and of course, government should come forward and engage with the organization like Abahlali, basemjondolo, and other stakeholders in civil society to actually understand the situation on the ground and how to engage with people on the ground.